there's this separation. And what's happening is some people, as a lot of the ancestors have been saying, and a lot of people have been foretelling, are moving into a whole other dimension. And I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of us are starting to actually experience this and actually be able to even see it and feel it and know it in their heart. And anyway, this video is going to be, I'm going to share with you 5 different signs that you are one of those folks. You are one of those light workers, one of those way showers, one of those people who are already on this path of awakening, of ascension, moving into this, whether it's the 5th dimension or not, I don't know. It's a heightened level, a new level, an evolutionary leap in consciousness. And this video is going to share with you 5 signs that you are going through it right now. And the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of times these signs are abnormal. People question them. Why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this, believing this, going through this when nobody else is? Something must be wrong with me. When actually it couldn't be further from the truth. There's something fantastic about you. A lot of people aren't going through this. It's a reality, which is why so many folks question themselves. Hence the point of this video, to settle you down and remind you of what you already know in your heart. Sign number 1, either you move a lot, like you move out of town a lot, or you really want to move now. As you grow, you realize, and sometimes very quickly, that all of a sudden you wake up one day and you don't belong. You feel out of sync vibrationally with your surroundings, the people, the city, the places, etc. And you just know that you are like this outsider. You don't belong here. There's a part of you that knows you're not going to thrive here. You got to go. And this can come on so suddenly. And it obviously it begs a question, like, am I really even considering this? Am I really gonna just quit my job, sell my house, move because I feel all of a sudden vibrationally off? Am I losing my freaking marbles? No, you're not. I've had the privilege of traveling a lot all around the country. I used to live in an RV. A lot of you know that if you've been watching me for a while. And it's so obvious, man, when you travel around, you're able to really see how different, I would say, the collective vibe is based upon where you are. I'm not here trying to cast judgment. I believe there are pockets almost anywhere in the world where one can thrive in a high vibrational way, but I'm talking generally speaking. Certain cities you move into when you're traveling, and you could almost feel it, like a heaviness descends upon you. And you feel contracted, and you feel almost like slightly paranoid, like something's a little eerie about this. That's just how I feel. And you look around, you can see people are just, they're completely asleep. They're living in their complete ego constructs. And it's like, and then you keep going and, oh wow, thank God, I feel better. It's a new city. And someone says, hey, how you doing? And you're like, oh, with a warm, genuine, sincere greeting, and it's different. And there's everything in between. But anyway, when I was going through this, when I would find myself waking up knowing I need to move, like knowing I need to move, which sounds crazy if you think about it, without any actual evidence, I would question it. And for years I felt guilty. I moved my kids around. My parents are sad that I'm leaving again for my hometown. And now I can look back and know that I made the right choice every time. I was literally following the feeling of resonance, following what I knew in my heart was appropriate for me. Not even like selfishly, like this is what I want to do. It's more like this is what I need to do. This is where my path, my destiny, my life path is leading. And to resist it isn't doing me any favors. Or you. Another common sign is seeing synchronicity. This is where you have little mini miracles taking place in your life, little ironies, little happenings that seem to carry a message. That seem to be, it's like life is trying to tell you something. And if it happened once or twice here and there, you would say, it's just coincidence. But synchronicity at times, for those moving into this 5th dimension, will happen like so often in a short span where you're like, what the fuck is going on here? am I tripping out here? Because this seems like a little glitch in the matrix if I didn't know any better. It can come in the form of seeing numbers. Seeing numbers on a clock. I started seeing 1111 like back in 2010, like all the time. Before I even knew what was happening, I'd see 1111. There it is. Honey, there it is again, 1111. What the hell? This is so weird. I didn't think much of it, but I knew something was happening. It wasn't that I just saw the number often, which in itself is kind of rare. If you think about all the different minutes in a day, I just happened to see it. I thought to myself, maybe, my mind is just kind of become conditioned to be on the lookout for it. That's what I told myself. But it was when I would see that number 1111, it like stood out at me. It just like winked at me as if time froze just for a moment. And it was just me and the numbers 1111 and this feeling like something's to it. And then what I started to notice, which really tripped me out, is I'd go on my iPod or my phone nowadays to change a song on my iTunes account or something. And sure enough, I'd be listening to maybe a long song, and out of all the seconds possible within that long song, I happen to look at as it's going from 11:10 to 11:11. Jesus, the instant I saw it, boom. And this kind of thing would happen all the time. It tripped me out. I had like my own maybe handful of numbers I see a lot. I see like 111, 1111, 1, 2, 3, 4 a lot, 2, 3, 4. Just like little numeric patterns that sort of stuck out to me. But this phenomenon can happen beyond the numbers. Some of you are thinking, I don't see the numbers, what's happening? But I see a certain bird every time I have a certain thought. Or I sometimes think of friends that I haven't talked to in a long time, and then they text me. I sometimes am sort of going off in my mind on some random train of thought, and the person next to me verbalizes it and articulates what I was thinking perfectly. They had no indication what the hell was going on in my head. It was random. It had nothing to do with what was going on in the scene. It was some random thing, and they just spouted out. My kids do that to me all the time. It really freaks me out sometimes. Synchronicity, my friends. Little indications warming your mind up to the fact that reality is more fluid, more dynamic, more flexible. There's more to it than meets the eye. There's more magic. Magic is real. It's part of life. It's built in to reality, contrary to what we've been taught. And now, whether you believe me or not, you don't need to. You're experiencing it. You're going through it. You're shifting. Sign number 3, you're reevaluating everything in your life. And this is challenging and tiresome when you just start to wake up to the fact that there are like a lot of things in your life that all of a sudden come to find are not a match for you. You don't like them as much as you thought you did. The bond, the connection you had with this person or thing or hobby or job or pursuit or whatever, interest, musician, all of a sudden you're seeing it very differently. And it's almost like you got to go through everything and say, Gene, do I like you, Gene? Are these? Okay, I still got my jeans. Water? I shouldn't be drinking out of this bottle. I should probably get a filter. Fuck. And it's just like that's a stupid joke, obviously. It's actually a more challenging experience when it happens with people, especially, or your career, or again, going back to number 1, where you live. It's a much harder pill to swallow, but it's part of it. It's part of changing. You see, when you look around, you see how asleep most people are. You were just like that, and we all still kind of are. I don't even consider myself awake. I consider myself aware, but I'm not awake. I slip in and out personally. But the point is, like, we have a long way to go if we're gonna be shifting into this other dimension and into this like enlightened, whatever it's gonna turn into, I don't know, this other level of consciousness. There's a lot to do, a lot to heal, a lot in our life that is a reflection of the old us that does need to change if we are to change. Otherwise, we're gonna be continually reinforced by these old structures in our life, reinforcing the old version of ourselves, making it very painful and difficult to blossom into the person we're destined to blossom into. So we look around and feel off. And even, you can try to ignore this stuff. I certainly have, because of the implications. Like when you realize this about your house or something, it's like, Jesus, that's a scary idea. Am I supposed to move? Maybe, honestly. So I've ignored it. In the past, I would ignore it and then shit would go wrong and constantly problems. What would start off as little problems, a little leak. The screws keep falling out of the cupboards. Why are all the screws falling out of the cupboards? Nothing's working. The lights aren't working. That would happen for me. The lights would stop. All the electricity in the house would go freaking haywire. And that was kind of like my indicator that like, all right, bro, you held on long enough. It's time to get a move on. But anyway, and then it can get even more extreme. I won't get into some of the stuff that I went through, but I was one that would hang on for quite a long time. But anyway, it's like you find yourself reevaluating these things, feeling guided, you could say, to change, even if you don't know how exactly to go about doing that. You just kind of know a change needs to take place. This also can happen along the lines of your personal identity. Like for the longest time, I identified with, sort of loosely, but still quite heavily, as a personal trainer. I'm a person who helps people transform their body. It's what I've always known, it's what I've always enjoyed. And all of a sudden, it wasn't doing it for me. All of a sudden, that feeling of being where I'm supposed to be with that was gone and replaced by a feeling that this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not it. But why? Why can't it be it? I put all this time into being a trainer. Why can't it be it? This is bullshit. And another question, what is it? What am I supposed to do? If not this, then what? Just start over? Not quite. For me, it wasn't starting over. It was discovering a new part of myself that all of a sudden was here. And for me, it's this passion, this ability to communicate about the awakening process to people on YouTube. Who would have thought? I would have never thought. You told me this 5 years before, 10 years before. I don't know. I would have just ignored you, honestly. I would have thought this just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. But there's a lot more to you, to us, than we thought. And those on this path, whether you like it or not, whether it's uncomfortable or inconvenient or not, will, you can best believe, start to become aware of who you actually are. And once you start to do that, then my friend Aaron always says, once he sees something, he can't unsee it. It's never going to be the same. It's true. Once you see who you are, where you belong, where you don't belong, good luck pretending things are the way they were. Good luck hoping and wishing, because things are just going to continue to break down because there's a new version of you that is ready and wanting to come online, and you're going to like it. You're going to like the new version of yourself. You're going to like the new versions of these aspects of life. Maybe I throw away the black jeans, I get another pair of jeans, they're blue and I like them better. It's all going to be upgrades, my friend. But because you don't see the upgrade yet, all you feel is the loss, maybe the grief, maybe the confusion, maybe the fear of the unknown. That's what we're met with initially. But on the other side of that, if you see it through, it's always like, oh, wow. I like this so much better. I like being a YouTuber. I get to travel the world. I have freedom. I make more money. I help more people. I get to talk about wherever the hell I want. It's way better than being a trainer. I didn't know it at the time. I just felt it. It's like you might feel it. And for sure by now, if you're going through this, you've developed an interest in spirituality, esoterics, metaphysics, something that pertains to life not being as small and simple as we were taught to believe. And what can come on is like almost an obsession. Like maybe you find a book. Like for me, what I found, I started becoming really fascinated with near-death experiences. And back, I was like really young, man. I was going to like my job at the gym, and I would stop at like Five Guys at the time, I get my burger and my fries, and I'd go on my phone and read these like blog posts on this website called neardeath.com. I don't know if it's still there, but it was just all these different stories of people who had died and come back and lived to tell about it. And their stories were just so fascinating to me. I could not get enough of them. That's all I could think about. And I was just so mesmerized that all these people, you could tell in their writing, they're like not crazy. They're very grounded people that just so happen to have a very extraordinary experience. And it just so happens that there's a lot of similarities from all these people from all walks of life saying the same thing. Death is not the end. In fact, it's like It's like the folks that die and come back, they're like, none of them even want to come back. They're like, fuck that. It's way better here. There's love. There's like, I could just zip into this thing of light, and there's all these amazing, blissful, mind-bending, beautiful experiences that await us. And they all are communicating that. And I was like, Jesus, how are people not talking about this? How is everyone still so freaked out and trying to preserve this little finite lifetime of theirs that's obviously not going to last forever, when who gives a shit? Look at where we're heading. And anyway, I couldn't stop I was obsessing about this. And what I found is that no one else really shared my passion or enthusiasm for it. You might have found the same thing. Hey mom, hey dad, guess what? It's not the end when you die. Okay, that's fine, honey. You might feel alone. You might feel like you might feel like you're neglecting other things as well. Like, man, I got stuff to do, but I just cannot feel myself all for YouTube. One more video. Like when you're binging a Netflix show, like one more episode, honey, and then we'll go to bed. I swear to God, we'll watch half of the episode. No, you watch the entire thing and maybe 2 more. You can't stop yourself because it's all ringing true to you. There's a part of you that knows it's true. Whether it's actually true or not, it's representing the true, more expansive nature of reality that you are a part of. And you get to play it. You're like waking up to it's like the Truman Show, in that movie, The Truman Show, where Jim Carrey finally opens the door to his little cage and realizes that he's been living in a little itty bitty box. And reality is like 1 billion times bigger than he was led to believe. And all of a sudden he knows that. And he's opening that door, and it's like he's stepping through. That's how you feel. You feel like you're stepping into the realms of the angels, connecting with your spirit guides and the ancestors, maybe their extraterrestrial lineage, all of this, aliens, other dimensions, past lives, future lives. It's all one thing. Holy shit! I gotta tell everybody. And lastly, my friend, a very big part of this is realizing, whether it's inconvenient or not, that you have a life purpose. You have something you came to do. That's why this is happening to you. That's why you're waking up first. That's why most people aren't waking up yet. You're one of the forerunners. People call them the light workers. I don't care for that term. But you will feel in your core that there's like a mission, a service, something you came to do, contribute in some way. And you're not gonna know what it is. And it's gonna drive you crazy for a while, because you really want to find it, because you'll also know it's a key to your happiness. You know, before you find your purpose, it's common to feel very depressed. You know, most cultures, even if you go back to like normal, ordinary human beings, so many cultures have different even terms, like what is it like? I think it's a Japanese, they call it the ikigai. And there's like, different cultures have different terms to basically represent the idea of a purpose, an outlet of creative expression that contributes to the whole in some way, that gives the person a feeling of fulfillment and like importance, like in a healthy way. Like, I matter. I know I matter because I'm helping. You want to feel helpful, and you will too. And you're going to realize you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be fulfilled until you find it. But you can't find it at first. Where is it? What is it? What am I supposed to do? If the higher self or God would just tell me, then I can get on. Then I can get on with it. The collective, it needs me. Why don't I know now? Oh, and there's times where you think you found it. I found it. It's this. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna do this. Search over, relieved, excited, happy, optimistic, and excited about the future. And then 3 or 4 days later, you overhear someone talking and they say something that just, it's like, it just deflates your little balloon. Fuck. And you know you were wrong. You were mistaken. It's not this. But what? It's the search for your purpose. You'll find it. It's, if I have one tip for you, my friend, is to just look around your life. Look around at your life. The way you are living now is your purpose. moving in the direction of things, opportunities, situations that feel right to you, feel true to you. Usually will also excite you. Oftentimes it's in the unknown, so there's that element, there's that barrier of fear often, but it's awareness, letting go of things that you know are heavy, you know are not really representative of the current you, and moving towards things that feel right. You obsessing about spiritual books for those few months or whatever, that's your purpose. That's part of it. You're learning, you're waking up, you're getting educated on how reality works. And then when you know enough, at least for then, now you'll be drawn to something else. Maybe it's, I need to take this Reiki certification class. And then you assume I must be on the verge of becoming a Reiki practitioner, but that's probably maybe not. But then it can be sort of discouraging when you take all those classes and then all of a sudden that same feeling you had that once had with the Reiki all of a sudden is boring to you. You don't want anything to do with it. You know there's something else. What? And then, but then there's a new thing that piques your curiosity and you move towards that has that same feeling of resonance and excitement. And here you are navigating your life now consciously, allowing this sensing of resonance to dictate your action rather than the former, which is doing what mom and dad society told you need to do in order to be the person they think you need to be. You've woken up, you're gone, that's over. Now you are awake and now you are living consciously, but it's in a new way. It's not linear, it's not predictable, it's dynamic. We move through life now with this sense, this like sensing thing that where we just like know, we just know what's next, know what to do. We don't know why, we don't know how it fits into the whole, so our mind it takes some time to get used to it. But this is living your purpose. Your purpose is gonna change. Even if you think you found it, it's gonna change. I remember I was, for a while, you could say, well, he's found his purpose. He's a spiritual YouTube guy, right? Well, after like 5 years, I still do it, but there are other things I felt called to do that even conflicted with this, like writing, like running retreats, like coaching, like starting other businesses. Well, I guess, now he's got many purposes. Well, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend. Just recently I started writing this new course about the journey of fat loss for empaths. I'm kind of like going back now to my fitness roots, pulling from those experiences, but in a new way. Is Victor confused? Has he really not found his purpose? I don't know. I think purpose is a very misunderstood term, quite frankly, and I think it trips a lot of people up. I think living your life authentically is living your purpose. And I think you're already living your purpose, my friend. But regardless, this video is about reminding you what you already know. You know you're fine. You know all this is happening for a reason. You know even all the chaos and the drama on the planet is also happening for a reason. It needs to break down. It needs to become obviously dysfunctional for people to finally snap out of it, just as you have in your own life. The fact that you're waking up to your own unconsciousness in your own life is a really good sign because you're a part of this collective. So anyways, my friends, if you felt like a lot of the things you were doing in life didn't make sense, hopefully you have less confusion and now know where you stand, even though you already have known this. Hopefully now you at least can remember, at least for this next day, that, I'm good.